The Bamboo Project Podcast starts in 3, 2.
Welcome to the Bamboo Project Podcast. My name is DonivanGray, the future $10 billion man. On the way to 10 billion, I decided I'm going to help create 1,000 millionaires, including myself. And not by being a guru or selling a course, but by doing the things I already love to do every day and documenting the journey to get there. I figure I'll make all the mistakes so you don't have to. My name is DonivanGray, and this is how I will turn my life into a living. I'd like to start off by giving a shout out to all the people rocking with us and supporting the channel. We really appreciate you. We are currently streaming on all major streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor. You name it, we on it. And if we not on it, we about to be on it. For everyone listening to this podcast and not watching it, you can find us on YouTube at The Bamboo Project. We have over 400 videos on our channel. You want to learn real estate? We got that. You want cooking tutorials inspired by Dr.Sebi? We got that. Travel and lifestyle vlogs? Got it. You want makeup and hair growth tutorials? Got it. Basketball? Got it. It's everything us. All the parts of the journey that don't make it to YouTube will probably be on our story. You can find me on Instagram at DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and my phenomenal, beautiful, amazing girlfriend, Melissa Burnett, ANETABURN. The Bamboo Project is about turning your life into a living by making money off the things you already do every day. We made different playlists for all the things we are into, and you can find the links for that in the description box below. This may be your first time here, and if it is, welcome to the family. But for everyone else, this is chapter 2, page 102. Okay, this podcast has 4 different segments. We have the life update, episode playback, Donovan's questions, and the topics of the day. All video and audio timestamps will be in the description box below. Today's date is March 1st. All right, and it's 4:39 p.m. So we had a very, very, very packed week for sure. This week was a lot happened this week. But before we get to what happened this week, we start off with screen check, screen time, screen check. What's it called? Screen time check. We start off with screen time. So let's see, and I already know this. I told y'all like 2 weeks ago, I've been getting better. All right. And the reason that we have screen time is because if you don't take advantage of your phone will take advantage of you. For last week, damn, my pickups went up crazy. For last week, my average was 7 hours and 31 minutes. Okay. I don't know why Sunday and Monday is not coming up on here. Did I just get the phone?
We definitely got that phone this week.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So, the highest day for me was Friday, which was 11 hours and 40 minutes. I was on Instagram for 5 hours and 16 minutes that day. That's kind of crazy. Let me look at that. That's insane. Oh, you know what it was? I fell asleep on my phone. Yep.
Are you lying?
Absolutely not. So it says from 12 to 4 a.m. I was on my phone.
You always up at that time.
Not from 12. I go to sleep at 12.
You go to sleep at 8.
And then I wake up at 12. Then YouTube for 2 hours and 8 minutes, and then Safari for 1 hour and 18 minutes. So you already know my screen time is not that high. It should be lower because, you know, that's just they capping. Now for the week, my average amount of pickups every day was kind of high. Anything over 100 to me is kind of crazy. 114 pickups every single day. That's the average. Now, if I do the math on that, that's 114 divided by, let's say I'm up for 16 hours. That's 7 times I pick up my phone an hour. I feel like that's still a lot. Maybe I'm bugging. I don't know. My first used app after pickup was my messages, then Instagram, then Safari. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and then the week, it's not even on here, so I would have to check my other phone. But yeah, I was gonna tell you what the week was before and what the difference is, but I got a new phone, so
numbers are skewed.
Oh, here we go. We didn't even start yet. We didn't even start. You're already skewing numbers.
It says 8 hours and 33 minutes.
Sounds about right.
But I fell asleep with my phone on for 2 nights.
Oh, 2 nights. Before it was, now it's 2. Okay.
It is 2. It's
Uh-huh.
another one. See all that gray?
Cap.
It's 2 nights.
Cap.
So there's that.
Uh-huh.
My most used app for the week.
TikTok.
Instagram. It says
Squarespace.
14 hours.
What was your daily? What was your
My
week?
daily cap is 2.
No, what was your daily amount for the your weekly average? I mean,
For Instagram?
for the phone.
For my phone.
Yes.
Yeah, it was 8 hours and 33 minutes. So 14 hours, well, damn near 15 hours was Instagram, and 14 hours was Google Maps, and then 5 hours was Gmail. Those are my 3 most used apps.
Those are kind of productive apps. All right, so let's get into this crazy week that we had. This was a wild one for the books, ending off chapter 2 on a high note or a crazy note. Okay, so first thing we're gonna start with, as y'all see in the title. Okay, I know how y'all like how much money we make from these different ventures that we be on. So we made $828 in 1 day. So from 10 to 5, right, we made $828. Let's do the math on that. What is that per hour? All right, so we got 828 divided by 7. That's not right. Okay, 828 divided by 7. That can't be right. 828 divided by 7.
Let me try.
Yeah, maybe my calculator's broken.
828 divided by 7.
What number you got? What number? What'd you get? Because my calculator's not working.
That sounds about right, though.
Nah. I thought it was like 50. In my head, I was like, you paid like $30 an hour.
Think about it.
Nah.
7 hours.
Your calculator broken.
Made $800. That's 7 times 100 is 700, and we made more than 700.
Prove it. Prove 7 times 100 is 700. You can't prove that to me right now. You cannot prove that. So, according to my calculator, which is obviously not working, it says that we made $118.28 per hour. That don't even sound right. Because you know what's crazy about that? We weren't selling that many candles every hour. So that means in some of those hours, we were making like $200 an hour selling candles. So we went to a craft fair, right? It's like a market y'all see outside where people, are selling things and, stuff like that, like knickknacks and different things you might see depending on which kind of craft fair you're at or market you're at. So this one was outside. Y'all know a couple of weeks ago, my mom and Melissa's brother, they did the craft fair, and that one was indoors because they have taken the vaccine, so they were able to work there and do the craft fair. We have not, so we had to do one outside. So it was cold. It's very cold. I was driving around trying to find a heater. We got there like 8 o'clock. It was in Manhattan, so there was a lot of. I was trying to find parking. If you live in New York or anything close to New York, you know how crazy the parking is here. I'll put a picture up if we have any pictures and video of us, kind of how the setup was at the craft fair. Now, the first craft fair that my mom and her brother did, they made like $400 in a day. And I think they made $500 in the second day, like $450 and made $500, something like that. So that's kind of in our head we were thinking. We were like, okay, we're gonna come to this craft fair. We're gonna do, maybe like four to 500. Right? That was in my head. That's what I thought when we first got there. So I get there, right, and I'm like, okay. In my head, I'm thinking, how am I gonna help sell these candles, right? Oh, 1 second. This is another update of whatever's happening this weekend. Hello.
Hey Donovan, it's Jim. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Jim. How you doing?
Not bad. Yesterday something happened with my computer. I think you already know this, that all of the pictures I took at your project were deleted.
Mm-hmm.
I have a gentleman named Gray who's going to call you in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And set time. He lives in Philadelphia to come over and get those pictures.
Okay, he's gonna measure it too?
No, I measured it.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Yeah, I measured it yesterday. They already had the measurement with everything, just the pictures deleted. All right, so I will talk to you soon, and we'll get that over to the store the day that he gets the pictures taken for you.
All right, thank you. And then do you know how long I guess it takes for the whole design process?
West Philadelphia is down to one designer. That's where you got this at. And with two designers, it's usually about 5 to 7 days. One designer depends on how busy that person is. I would say in the best case scenario, today's Tuesday, we get the pictures tomorrow, probably Wednesday of next week.
And that's when they would be finished? That's when they would start?
That's when they would have the estimate ready for you to purchase everything.
Okay.
As far as installation, everything would, the only thing that we have to do, you didn't have any floor down yet, right?
Right.
I don't have the pictures to look at. If you're putting a solid surface like a wood floor or a ceramic floor, well, really just a ceramic floor would go from side to side. It goes underneath everything. Any other product, including 3/4 inch hardwood, can go down after the cabinets are in. If you're putting a floating floor down, don't put that floor down until we're done with the cabinets, because it can't go underneath the cabinets.
Okay, I understand.
All right?
I appreciate you. Thank you, Jim.
And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I was actually on a conference call when you called, so I couldn't answer the phone.
Okay, no worries. I appreciate it.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Okay, so I'll address that later. So now, so I am standing there and I'm thinking to myself, okay, how can I help to sell these candles? What am I going to do? What am I going to say? And I remembered that my mom and Melissa's brother, when they were selling, they would ask people, do they want to smell a scent? Melissa made business cards that have the scent on the candle, so you can kind of give those out people to smell them, and they can kind of interact with the set or the design. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask people, do they want to smell, a candle? Do you want to smell whatever I'm going to say? So I'm thinking, honestly, in my head, that's what I'm thinking. How would I say? Do I say, do you want to smell a candle? Do you want to smell it? How would you like to smell it? Hey, would it be ridiculous for you to smell it? Like, I'm trying to think of what would be the proper wording to get the best, highest return for how much work I'm putting out, right? That's what I'm thinking. So the first person walks by. It's still early, so a lot of people aren't really walking in like that. So I'm like, okay, let me try and ask this person, do they want to smell a candle, right? So they walk by and I go, do you want to smell the candles? I'm like, damn, I fucked it up. I'm like, fuck. They didn't hear me. They kept walking. I'm like, I'm like, all right, that didn't work. So another person walks by, right? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get it this time. Like, candle, right? I'm like, fuck. I'm like, it's not coming out right. And I'm like, my mouth is getting stuck together. My words are not coming out the right way. Everything is just like, I'm like, damn, I'm gonna be here for 8 hours trying to just say, do you want to smell a candle? That's not even getting to actually buy a candle. That's literally just saying, do you want to smell a candle? That's literally it. I'm also thinking, do I say, do you wanna? I'm thinking, do you want to? I'm thinking, would you mind? Would you like to? I'm thinking, what's the best way to say this? So at one point, right, I'm just like, you know what? My goal for today is to ask every single person that walks by, do they want to smell a candle, right? That's all my goal is. I don't know if I'm going to sell anything. I don't know if anybody's going to buy anything. My goal is just to do that and then see what happens from there. So as the day starts progressing, more people start coming in. So I'm like, okay, I have more chances to, I guess, correct what I was doing earlier. So I start getting through the groove of it. I start telling people, hey, do you want to smell a candle? Hey, would you like to smell a candle? Hey, we got free scents. Do you want to smell? Now I'm in the groove. I'm smooth. I'm trying to, now I'm freestyling now. Everything's coming out, it's flowing. So after, I don't know, maybe like 30 minutes, 40 minutes or so of doing that, I'm like, oh, this is easy. I'm like, I could do this. Mind you, all I'm doing is saying, can I want to smell a candle? That's all in my head I'm thinking. So I'm like, okay, this is working. So then I'm thinking to myself, okay, how many candles do I feel like is a good amount of candles to sell today, right? So I'm thinking, I said 10 in my head. I'm like, can we do 10 candle sales? I'm like, if we could do 10, I think that would be good. It looks like during that hour we had sold 4 small candles and 1 big candle. That came up to like $94, and that's about $95. So at that point we had sold 4, 5, 6 candles, roughly, right? So I'm like, okay, mind you, it's like 11:30, 12 o'clock. So I'm thinking 10 is a good number to say that we did it. We came out here. It's enough for me to push forward to, practice my selling. I start getting into the groove. I start feeling myself. I'm like, okay. And everything starts coming back to me. Everything from my past life starts just seeping into my body. And I remember, like, Donovan, this is what you were built for. This is what you were made to do this. This is what you have been doing your whole life, right? And it took me having to get into the middle of it to realize, okay, now that I'm in my flow state, I know how to handle myself. But getting into it was always the hardest thing for me. So I'm going to give you guys some backstory as to how we got here. Melissa loves when I talk about this. So in my previous life, I used to be a whore. I used to let yourself out. I used to talk to women, okay, until I met the love of my life, Melissa Anita Burnett, who was biting her nails religiously. And I remember, right, there was a game. There's a lot of different things. I'm gonna go through some of the things that we went through, or I went through as a kid, right? So when I was in the first grade, I had a bunch of Goosebump books, which my beautiful, amazing girlfriend hates when I say Goosebump books. And I probably had like 100, maybe more than 100. I had a bunch of books in the house. So me and my friend went out in a driveway and we just stood there and sold books in the first grade to people walking by, right? Which to me, I think is kind of crazy. So we were just outside like, hey, do you want to buy a book? So think about this. We're trying to figure out how to sell books as first graders to adults. So now we're like, okay, hey, do you have kids? Maybe they want to read. Then as I got older, in about the third grade, my school would do these, I guess, like fundraisers, I guess they're called. So my mom and I and my sister, we would go out to Central Park. We would get a bunch of candy bars. My mom would say, all right, here you go to Central Park. Not Central Park. It's a park on the west side. I forgot what it's called. Van Cortlandt Park. And we would just walk around the track trying to sell candy to people in the third grade. So I'm walking around and I would be like, damn, how do I do this? People would buy. I would get people to buy, but I was always very uncomfortable doing that. So, that's another practicing time for me to become a spectacular salesperson. So then I get to high school. And in high school, I remember even before this, to be honest with you, I'd always talk to my dad about selling candy. So we were thinking about going to Costco or BJ's or some type of wholesale place and buying a bunch of boxes of candy. You could buy Gatorade. If you sell it for $1, you buy 15. Spend $10 on it. It comes with 24 bottles of Gatorade. You just made $14. So that's what I was thinking, right? So I'm like, okay, this is I can get rich doing this. So I had started doing that in one of my old schools, not as heavy as I started doing it at my new school. So to my new school, I got to 11th grade, 12th grade, selling candy in school, like during class. Like I remember I would sell people in class, like, yo, bro, I got that Kit Kat. You want this $1? Let me get that. All right, boom. Because somebody, yo, you want that? I got you, bro. I got you. So I would be knocking them out in class. Then I'm like, okay, if I can expand outside of class, I can make more money. So I would start leaving class, walking down the hallways, selling candy. Now I had one of those schools where there were different schools in the building. So I would be going to each floor, walking through the hallway, being like, yo, bro, I got that candy for $1. What you like? I'm trying to sell. I was making $100 a day. So naturally, I'm like, yo, if I could have somebody else help me. And then I brought in 2 of my friends. They combined, we made $300 a day. So I guess I brought in my third friend. So now I'm thinking I'm going crazy. My school had like a school store where they would sell candy. I'm like, yo, what we should do is we should stand next to them and just sell candy to anybody that walks by for cheaper than what they're selling it for. And that way they'll look for us when they want candy. Mind you, this is illegal. And if I was to do this in a real place, in a real market where I think it's like price gouging or price fixing or something like that, you definitely can't do that. It's illegal. But that was what my mind was thinking there. You definitely probably can't do it right next to the other store. That would be equivalent of Amazon did that, which they do, but it's still technically illegal. So we were doing that. Now, one thing I learned from that is if I buy $50 worth of candy and I make $100, I didn't make $100. I only made $50. So we would spend like 80% of the money that we would make, or 90% of the money we would make, and be like, damn, I don't have the money to buy more candy. I would have to ask my dad to lend me money to buy candy again. That's when I learned, like, oh, wait a minute, I have to save money to rebuy the candy. So that was a learning lesson for me, right? So now fast forward a little bit more. This is when I started learning about cold calling, right? And kind of the sales process. When I was younger, it was more so just about it was more of a personal thing, trying to be personable and see if somebody wants to buy candies, things like that. And then things you learn from cartoons. So now here's where it really starts to get interesting. So my friends and I would do a little game, right? We would call girls randomly that we don't know. So let's say that my friend knows a girl. I would get her number and then I would just call her randomly, right? And the goal was to have sex with the girl. That was the goal. Now think about how crazy it is, right? If you're a girl or you're a guy who has a girlfriend, if you're sitting down at home watching television and you get a call from somebody you don't know, a number you don't know is calling you, answer the phone, and that person is trying to have sex with you, what are the odds that you think that would happen? Right? What do you think? It's probably a very low chance that somebody who you don't know calling you could get some pooms, right? So that was the goal. So doing this is what I learned, that there are 3 parts from what I experienced in selling or getting some pooms. Oddly enough, each one of us was good in each area separately, right? So I had a friend who was good at the beginning of this. I had me, I was good in the middle, and I had my other friend who was good at the end of it. So this is how the process normally goes when we would do this, right? And I think it's crazy because we didn't know what we were really doing. It would start off like this. We would call somebody and we would go, hey, friend's name or girl's name. Hey, Tasha, what's going on? She would go, what? Who's this? Yo, stop playing. Yo, did you remember that thing from class the other day or whatever? She's like, who is this? Yo, you don't remember me sitting in class behind you in math class last year? You gave me a number. We went to that party. You don't remember none of that? No, I don't remember. Okay, it don't really matter. What you have for breakfast today? They would be like, what? I'm like, what you have for breakfast today? Like, you just had eggs, you had bacon, you had sausages. Like, because me personally, I had waffles. I'm not really a waffle guy. I prefer to have pancakes, but we ran out because my mom didn't go. It doesn't really matter. But what do you have for breakfast? She's like, well, I only had like some blueberries and stuff. That's all you have for breakfast? You ain't have nothing else for breakfast. All you have was blueberries and strawberries. How you think you're gonna be healthy only having blueberries and strawberries for breakfast? Ha 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 ha. What are you talking about? That's fine. Or they might say, yeah, I don't really like having a heavy breakfast. And then I'll go, well, listen, they say that breakfast is one of the most important meals of the day. And I don't believe that, but that's what they be saying. She might giggle a little bit. Then I'll be like, what you been up to? What you were doing when I call? Oh, I was just watching this TV show. Oh, what show you was watching? Oh, really? I haven't watched that show. What's that one about? Right? So now we're just talking, right? So what one of my friend was good at, right, was the intro. So for me, getting into it is always hard for me because I have to get over that uncomfortable feeling of them going, why are you talking to me? Like, what are you calling me for? And I never knew how to get through that. But as I learned from him, I would watch him do it. I would see him do it. I don't even know if he knew that he was doing this, because I would watch him talk to people and I could see them kind of get uncomfortable. Like, why is this person talking to me? But he would just keep talking. And at some point, it would just kind of lean more into them being like, okay, I don't really care. Like, we're just talking. And that's where I thrive. I thrive in the middle. I thrive in keeping the conversation going. I thrive in, just talking, just having somebody to talk to, and we could talk for hours, right? as you see, I have a podcast here. So if you go back in time, you'll see that we have 3-hour podcast, 2.5-hour podcast, because I can talk. That's what that's what my expertise is. So watching him do what he did, I learned you just have to get through that. And honestly, just ignore what they're talking about. Just kind of keep going through it and just say, hey, just change the topic, change the conversation really quickly. And what you're trying to do is find something that they hook into, find something that they want to talk about. So all I'm pretty much doing in the beginning is asking questions to find out something that you want to talk about. I'm also very sensitive to body language and tone and cadence. So if I can hear that you get excited about one thing or upset or there's an emotional attachment to a thing, that's something I would talk about. Whether it makes you angry, sad, happy, I'm going to go, oh, that sounded like that bothers you. 1 second. Hello?
Hi, can I speak with DonivanGray?
Speaking.
I'm calling on behalf of Lowe's, and I just need to come and take pictures if that's okay with you.
Yeah, no worries. Are you there at the property right now?
No. Can we do something tomorrow morning?
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, what do you need from me?
I just need to take a few pictures. It'll take me like 2-3 minutes.
Oh yeah, I won't be there because it's I'm living in New York and it's obviously in Philly.
Oh, so is that like an investment property?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is it like a lockbox with a key in it? Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
So that was that, right? So then it's my part was the middle, and like I said, as long as you're talking, you're having a conversation, I can do that all day. Here is where me and the first friend I told you about, struggled. It was closing, because what you have to do when getting pussy is you have to initiate or talk about pussy. You got to talk about some type of sex. You got to build that sexual attraction. Otherwise, you're going to be friend zoned. So we were very good at building rapport and making women comfortable. And we can do that. But it's similar to the beginning where it's like making somebody uncomfortable by bringing up sex with somebody you don't know. Like, that's crazy. Imagine somebody call you right now on the phone and say, hey, your pussy wet right now. You're going to be like, what the fuck are you calling me? Who is this? That's what your initial response would be that. So now, this is where my other friend comes in. Shout out to him. You know who you are, bro. What the fuck is this? Hello?
Hi, this is First CFSI Loan Funding. Giving you a call about draw inspection.
For draw inspection. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
You got it?
Yeah, so, when would you be able to, are you going right now?
No, I'm just calling you to see, but I mean, I could do it tomorrow if you want.
Yeah, that works perfectly. Let me see.
9:30 or so. Is it on lockbox? Are people working there?
Yeah, it's on lockbox. Somebody may be there when you go. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Let me see.
You want to give me a lockbox just in case?
Yeah, let me see what. So this is where he would come in, right? Because he was very. He had a very. I don't know if I call it aggressive energy. I would say he had a very more masculine energy, right? So he had a deeper voice, and I think that was something that my friend and we're more about making you comfortable. Where it's just like, oh, we're chilling, we're hanging out, we could do that. His thing was more about, I'm trying to fuck. Like, that's what I'm trying to do. So we fucking or we not fucking? What's going on? And that was kind of how you would approach it a lot of times. So we would just be like, bro, so we'd be on the phone, right? Like I said, we would all do the same thing, and each time we might get fucked up. So sometimes we would call somebody and they might hang up because we couldn't build rapport quick enough. Or in the middle of the call, we're going great, but we couldn't transition into sex. We just couldn't get there. So we're just like, we couldn't get to the sex part. So he was not really good at the beginning. No, he was not really good at the middle, I would say. So he did a lot more listening than he did talking, which is fine. It's still good for conversation. But when it came to the end, bruh, this man would be like, so when last time you had sex? They would be like, what? When the last time you had sex? Right? And mind you, me and my friend be on the phone like, this motherfucker is crazy. And then the girl would be like, well, it's been a while. Probably like 2 weeks. I'll be like, what the fuck? She just answered that? I'm like, yo, that's crazy. And then from there, they're talking about sex. And then he would, kind of jump in and out of it as far as like, he might ask that question, then go back to something else and then bring it up later. Or what he might do is he might bring it around to that. So he might say, different thing. He might say like something that he might say. He might throw himself into the sex boat and then bring her in, pretty much. So he may say, I'm a Virgo, and Virgos really like to fuck a lot. That's something that they've been known to do. It's crazy, right? And girls will be like, what? He'd be like, yeah, what sign are you? She'd be like, oh, I'm a Capricorn. Oh, do they like to fuck a lot? And they would just start talking about sex. He would ask them what color panties they wearing, and they would just answer the question. And I'm like, why are they doing this? I don't understand why a woman would do this to a guy she's never talked to, never heard of, don't know this man, and she just answering this question. So 2 things I realized. 1, you have to just break that barrier and just cross that line and go, okay, I'm trying to close. And in this situation, closing was sex. So you have to bring up the close. You can't just talk about how great a product is if you're not trying to get somebody to buy it, right? You can, but it's going to be harder. And also, this goes into tonality. For him, he has a very deep voice. So I think that it would help in that situation for the girl, because she's like, oh, the way he said it to me, I just really, okay, hey, yeah, I'm wearing pink. Oh, okay, right? Something like that. Well, I'm doing his voice. Yeah, okay, all right? So I took that to the craft fair, right? So a lot of times I'm in my mode. I'm talking, I'm getting them interested. They liking the product, they smelling it. They're, oh, this is great. And several times we would just be standing there. It would be me standing there. They're laughing. They're having fun. And, now they're not talking. I'm not talking. Melissa's standing there. We're all just kind of looking at each other like, yeah, man, this is, wow. Look at it. This is, yeah. So y'all are here. We're here. It's a Sunday. Okay. And that was awkward, right? And the reason why it's awkward, in my opinion, is because they would like to buy, right? But I'm not crossing that line to get them to buy. I'm not making that uncomfortable jump to going, hey, so would you like to get a small candle or a big candle? I'm not doing the close. You have to be trying to close, whether depending on however you want to do it, but you have to be trying to close. You can't just be having a conversation. So that's something that I learned during that time, right? So once that happened a couple of times, I'm like, damn, you know what? I'm going to just say to the person, once they're here, we all standing here, I'm going to say, hey, so do you want a big candle or a small candle? Or which one would you like to buy? Would you like to do not disturb? Would you like room service? Would you like wind down or people watching? Which one better fits you? Something like that. And lo and behold, it started producing more sales. People go, oh, I want to get that one. I want to get this one. And that same conversation I was having before would end with me just not trying to get the close or trying to get the sale. So that's something that I've now taken into wholesaling, and that's one thing. Now here's the other thing too that I'm taking into wholesaling. It's motivated sellers, right? I think that over the last 1.5 to 2 years, however long it's been, is I've been talking to people who are not motivated to sell their property, right? So it's a lot easier to talk to people when they want to sell, and in this case when they want to buy. So here's how I would equate this to, or how I can apply the craft fair to wholesaling. People are going to the craft fair to buy something, right? You're not going into a craft fair if you're not intending to buy. If you're not intending to buy something, you may kind of be like, pussyfooting around, thinking about it. But if somebody gives something that you're looking for, you might buy it. Or something that's interesting, you might buy it. So it's just my job now is to make you feel comfortable about buying certain thing. But that's why you're here. It would probably be a lot harder to sell candles if we picked up that set and moved it to a museum or moved it to a basketball court. It would be like nobody here came here to buy candles. They came here to play basketball. They came here to look at art. They didn't come here to buy anything. So it would be a lot harder, and we probably would make less sales at a place like that. So now, when I approach wholesaling, I think of it like this: 2 things. You have to get to the part where you say, what is your number? Like, do you want to sell? Are you looking to sell? This is what I want to do. I want to buy. You have to get to that point where you're closing. Okay. That's just for me talking. And then the other thing is talking to people that actually want to sell. And then once you have somebody that wants to sell, finding a person that's in a situation where they want to sell, which obviously y'all already know is called, a motivated seller, but actually finding what that would be. And then the other thing would be finding somebody who wants to buy that particular thing. It's like, okay, how do I find somebody that's looking for this specific thing? How do I bring them to the craft fair? The wholesale contract is the craft fair. I need to bring people who are looking for something specific or similar to this exact thing. So that was something I took away from the craft fair. So we ended the craft fair like I said, with $828, we, made a lot of connections. Somebody there wants to put the candles in a store that they have. His boyfriend owns a store in the West Village, so we're thinking about putting the candles there, maybe doing like a collab with them. So that's came from that. I met a lot of cool people. Like a lot of cool conversations that we had. We met somebody who was a data analyst, which you know me, I love data. We met people. We met ballet dancers and all type. We just met so many. So somebody, like, get this right. If y'all or my story or Melissa's story, y'all would have seen this. So after the craft fair, right, I'm in the house chilling, and then Melissa got an email saying, "Hey, watch this video." So she watching the video. I put a link in the description of the video, and she's like, "Hold on, I want you to see this." I'm like, "All right." So I'm watching the video. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Girl selling for candles.
Uh-huh.
The company is called M. Bird.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
All natural.
Woo!
100% beeswax.
Woo!
So she says it helps also purify the air.
Woo!
Nope. It's vanilla and do you remember teaching? Oh, cashmere and vanilla.
Do not disturb.
Gee, so I just
I'm like, okay, cool, that's dope. The person would do like a little vlog, whatever, and they showed the candles, like the setup, I mean. And I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. It was like 2 seconds. I'm like, all right. So I'm sitting here eating breakfast, and I'm watching the video. This woman bought a candle, and I noticed by the back. I'm like, oh shit, she bought a motherfucking candle. Like, she bought a candle. It's right. I can see it. I can see the brand in the mark. I can see the candle, right? I'm like, oh, I'm hyped. So I'm watching her like open it, talk about the candle. She said the whole brand name. She take out the business card, start smelling it on camera. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. This is perfect branding, perfect marketing. This is amazing, right? So she starts talking about the candle and how it's healthy, how it purifies the air. I'm like, wow, this is great. So I'm just curious, like, okay, that's cool. Someone made a video about it. So I'm like, I wonder how many subscribers she has on YouTube. She has 33,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I'm like, bro, that's insane. Like, she has 33K on YouTube and posted the video, the candles in the video. She bought one and talked about it in the video. Crazy. So, all right, I'm like, cool. So Melissa goes, looks her up on Instagram. This woman has 200,000 subscribers or followers on Instagram. Bro, I don't even know if she has anything else. She might have a TikTok. She might have a freaking Twitter. Who knows? But she has, right now, we're at 233,000 subscribers and followers combined. I'm like, this is insane. So now what I've been thinking about is ramping up the craft fair and taking it to a whole nother level, just because of the house situation. And I'm like, the candles are proving that they can sell. So I'm like, if we could try, and what I want to do is, they have a craft fair where they do 7 days a week. I want to hire some people to do that, and I want us to do it on the weekends with my mom and her brother. So if we could bring in $800 a day, that would be amazing, which is, that's a high end. But on average, I think we could do like $400 a day from the candles. And let's say pay somebody $100 for the day, we would keep $300. So we would be making 300 times 7, that's $2,100 a month. $2,100 a week times 4 would be $8,400 a month. On a low end, in my opinion. So like I said, if we can ramp it up, that would be great. And then also, that's not including if we put it into the stores, because right now there are 3 stores that are considering carrying the candles. So we're going, say we doing something. I told you 2022 is going to be a movie. It's going to be crazy. And that was just, all of that just happened was just on Sunday. That was just literally Sunday. Now,
and I just want to say to the women out there, trust your gut and your instincts. And do what your heart desires.
Yes. Why do you want to say that to them?
Because.
Tell them. Listen, I don't care.
Because when I told Donovan I wanted to sell candles, he was like, candles? Who buying candles?
Right. She got the cap. Keep going. I'm listening.
How am I capping?
Because you saying as if I told you not to sell candles. I know you don't sell candles.
Right. You never said don't sell them.
I was like, who buys candles? I didn't know people buy candles. I'm like, what's the market?
To some people.
Okay, well, you're right. If that's how you felt, then you're right. If you feel very confident about something, you should do it. Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So, like Melissa said, you want to say it again, or you want to add on to that? Okay. So if you have faith in yourself, if you have or believe in yourself, right? That's what Melissa's telling you guys, to believe in yourself, even if your boyfriend believes in you too, but is not sure who buys candles.
Listen, you had every right to feel the way that you do. Feel like I start things. Listen, we're not against this.
That has nothing to do with that, but that's what I'm saying. You're conflating two different things.
Really?
My thing is, I'm gonna support whatever you do. Just do it. That's what I always, exactly. That's what you're making a face. That's what I always say. If you're gonna do something, I'm gonna support you. Just
I did it.
Exactly. And where am I at? Support you. So I'm gonna do that regardless. I'm just saying, just do a thing, do something, and I'll support that thing. We're gonna figure out how to make it work. But it's hard for me if you're doing it and then you stop, and then you do it and you stop. And you do, I'm like, okay.
Listen. I haven't stopped anything in that stuff.
Right. You just paused. So that's that. We'll have some more Kindle updates for you guys as we move along in this process. Our brain started getting big. We started thinking like, how can we go bigger and better and have our own store? But there's a lot of stuff. We'll bring it in later. All right. Now, something I want to bring up. This is a small thing. So this is something that I think is similar to Melissa and our relationship. Does say or similar to what I have with my contractor, right? I think it's 100-0 with me and my contractor. Him being the 100, me being a 0. You know how it goes with Melissa. I'm the 100, Melissa the 0. Now, here's what that means for people who are new to the podcast. That means I have full trust in them. She has full trust in me. That's what it's supposed to mean, right? So if I'm leading something, she's like, all right, listen, you leading, I'm gonna support you, and what you're doing, I got you. Now, this is something that I have been experiencing for like 8 months now. Everybody I talk to about my contractor is telling me to fire him all the time. Every single time they're like, fire him, let him go. He's not doing this. He should be doing that. Do this, do that. And I'm like, yo, I trust him. Like, I need to. It's so crazy because now I find myself having to defend my contractor, and I'm like, he's not doing anything wrong. I have not had the money to pay him. So when he has gotten the money, he is doing what he's supposed to do. And it's just a very odd phenomenon that I think, it's something that I don't normally do. For whatever reason, I normally just don't care. I'm not like a person to defend people. That's not really my thing. I'm just like, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But it's something that I think that I've been adopting more. Probably because of my relationship with Melissa in some sense, where it's like people will be like, yeah, man, your contractor probably terrible. I'm like, nah, he's good. He's straight. Don't worry about it. Like, he gonna handle it. He's good. Like, he is doing his thing. We good. And that's not a space that I normally operate in. I'm kind of just like, bro, I don't really care. Like I said, I really don't care about a lot of things. Now, this ties into the next topic, which is the podcast that happened with, his name is Alex. I don't know if y'all know, I've been talking about him a while ago, maybe. Alex, he's on Graham Stephan's podcast, Coffee Hour, I think it's called. The Hot Coffee Hour, Tea Coffee Hour. What is it called? Iced Coffee Hour. So I have realized from a very, very young age, I did not know there was a term for this. It is called a nihilist, and that is what I am. And it's very tough to operate from that space, I feel like. So nihilism is the belief that all values are baseless and that nothing can be known or communicated, right? Now, it is often associated with extreme pessimism and a radical skepticism that condemns existence. A true nihilist would believe in nothing, have no loyalties, and no purpose other than perhaps an impulse to destroy. Now, what?
And you said that you feel like you're this.
Yes, and this is the reason why. Not the last part, obviously, but here's the reason why. From a young age, and you'll probably hear me say this all the time, I'm like, nothing matters. And it's a weird thing because I'm like, people say that, but that's my base level. It's like, nothing matters. If we get evicted, if we get end up in jail, I'm like, I just now have to deal with whatever comes from that thing. And don't change it. It's just, this is what it is. We are in jail, figure it out. We are evicted, figure it out. We are rich, figure it out. It's just a part of living. It's not, the value is placed on it by what I value it at. There's no real inherent value to it. And for a while, I remember thinking about that, and I would just be like, well, if nothing matters, what do I do? Because I'm like, if I'm rich, then I'm rich, and the problems that come with that. If I'm stop biting your nails. If I'm rich, that's what comes with that. If I'm poor, figure out how to live with being poor, or try to become rich, whatever the case might be. But nothing, I feel like on an emotional level, really stirred me or pushed me either in any direction. I was just kind of like, okay, so, but I can't operate like that because, you know, you would just do nothing all day. You wouldn't do anything. You literally would do nothing. And I talked about that on the podcast where I'm like, I don't really have that like fighting urge to do something. I kind of just be like, yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. That's what I guess. It none of that matters. Like nothing matters. Like, let's say that my family decide not to talk to me again. That's life. That's nothing. I always have to figure out how to operate from that space. So the reason I bring that up is because during the podcast, and something that I also had to kind of realize is like, okay, if nothing matters in the world, I get to choose what matters. Like, I get to decide this matters and that matters. I want this, I want that. And that's still layer number 2, but it still gives me something to push for, fight for. And things that don't fall into that category, I really don't care about. And I have a tough time trying to be like, okay, this is something that I really care about. Because a lot of things I really don't. So I just think that's something that's interesting hearing him talk about it. It was a very good podcast. I enjoyed the podcast very much. He also talked about how to not be siblings with your girlfriend. Now, Melissa and I have recently been called brother and sister.
Who said that?
Your friend, remember? She said we're related. Remember we had that whole conversation about what a brother and sister is?
Right. I don't know. Remember, I may have misinterpreted.
Yeah, probably. But I just think it's funny that came up. But yeah, so I have noticed this before. Maybe y'all do too. People who live with their family members. And I got a cool quote from the podcast. It's something that I've really enjoyed now saying. It is, relationships are a dichotomy to be managed. Right? That's my new quote that I like. And what he pretty much said was this. If you live with your significant other, your girlfriend or your boyfriend, and you guys are around each other all the time, you build a familiarity with each other where you guys are almost like siblings. You know everything. You guys are shitting around each other. You're farting. You're laughing. You know all the bad things, good things. And you become very close. So close that you don't really have that sexual tension because y'all are like family. On the other end of it, it's where you guys don't know each other. There's no familiarity. And you guys, I mean, you would still, the lack of familiarity would allow you to have more sex because you are still surprised by what the other person is doing. You can be excited for them because you're not there. An example that he gave was he would come home from work. He would be at work at home and then go to dinner with his wife and they'd be like, hey, what do you do today? And she would be like, well, you were with me all day. You know what I did today all day. We were together the whole day. There's nothing for me to tell you to get you excited. You were there with me. Our whole business is together. Our life is together. We work in the same room. Everything is tied together. So he said that what they had to do was they had to start creating separation on purpose. So like, okay, you'll work on that side of the house. I'll work on this side of the house. We won't go to the same meeting. So that way, when we come back to dinner and sit down, we can actually have a conversation about what you did today. And I think that's when you start having that sexual tension or, you know, that sexual feeling towards your partner where you're like, ooh, I haven't seen you all day. Like, I kind of miss you. Like, I want to touch you. I want to feel on you. I want to, you know, do nasty things to you. I'm talking to you, Melissa. I'm talking to you. So, and that's kind of what happens. And I think it's funny because Melissa and I experienced that as well living here. So not necessarily as more so recently, but probably like the second year where we weren't working. We were at home all the time. Everything was literally, we were together all the time. And we were very, very comfortable with each other. Like, you know, brother and sister. That's what happens. So more so recently, this is before we had kind of done any businesses and things like that. Now we have things that we can do. We have a car. We can go outside. She leaves the house more than I do. So she'll go outside and that creates a separation between us. So I feel like it doesn't continue to have that sibling type bond. And I can kind of ask her what she's doing. She has her own thing that she's doing now. Now she's reading different books. She may watch different shows. She have interaction with her friends. 'Cause even before, she was not talking to a lot of her friends. So I was also not talking to my friends. So it would just be me and her talking to each other about what we did that day. And we were in the same house the whole day. So it was like, hey, do you remember when I was watching that podcast earlier? Do you remember when they said this thing? Oh, yeah, I did hear that. Oh, yeah, well, so, what you doing tomorrow? I'm gonna be here. So that was something that we kind of had to, again, a dichotomy to be managed. It's one of my new favorite quotes. Now, we got a couple more things to update y'all on. So, wholesaling. Okay, y'all know I have still been trying to get my first wholesale deal. Numero uno, number one. I think it's funny because people always comment and ask if I have wholesale deals. And I'm like, I've never done one. I've been in it so long that I know a lot, but I have not actually completed one. So everybody listening who doesn't know that, I have not completed a wholesale deal. Zero. Bought a house before we completed one, but did not complete a wholesale deal. So when I first wrote the notes, for the podcast, I had an update for that property in Queens. And I was like, okay, boom. I need to close. This is very similar to what we talked about on Sunday with the craft fair. We've been talking, having a good conversation. He wants $5,000 a month. He wants $800,000 as a purchase price. He also wants a short-term balloon of 7 years. That's what he's looking for. None of those, and $100,000 down payment. These are really bad terms if you are a investor, because you can't pay $5,000 a month if your cash flow is $5,100. Like, you're gonna be losing money every month. So that doesn't really work, right? Okay, so I'm like, okay, you know what? I need to tell him these terms are not going to work. And here are the terms that I want. So I did that. I told him $600,000, whatever interest the rate would be, so that he still gets $800,000 over the long term, over the 7 years. And it would be $100,000 down payment, which is fine. And then the monthly payment, though, would be like $3,000, right? So he came back and said, that's not going to work. I need $800,000 purchase price, right? And I'm like, so the base has to be $800,000. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm like, we could do $800,000 purchase price, but that monthly payment has to be. So I gave him the terms again. He said, what will the monthly payment be? I said $3,200. He was like, he didn't respond, honestly. So I called him on Sunday. No response. So I texted him. He didn't respond. I called him. He didn't respond. So I called him today. And we talked on the phone about it. And we have finally gotten terms that we both agree on. Okay. So this could be my first wholesale deal, which would be subject to. And if y'all know me, I don't want to wholesale it. I want to keep it. But here are the terms for this property. So the ARV for this house is probably about 800 to 850, I would say, depending on what you do to it. And right now we have a 5% interest rate, a 7-year balloon, which means the house gets paid off fully in 7 years. He gets $4,000 a month. That's the payment instead of the $5,000. And it will be a 30-year term for the schedule, but it's going to be a 7-year balloon. And here is the cream of the crop, in my opinion. Okay. So we got down from $100,000 down payment to $50,000. That is less than 10%. Now, unless you are buying a house with the FHA loan, it's very unlikely that you will get a percentage of this magnitude for the property. So let's see what that number would be. What percent that would be? Yeah. It's about 6% down payment for the house. And there are currently tenants already in the house paying money. So he agreed to $50,000 down payment. And I'm like, yo, if I can find an investor to buy this property with a $50,000 down payment, I mean, honestly, I would probably, I would take a down payment of like $80,000 or $90,000. And then I would raise the purchase price to like $850 or something like that. and then have like a 6-year balloon payment, something around that number. But like I said, to me, it's just like, yo, we could, like I said in the podcast a couple weeks ago, possibly make $50K in a month. The month would have been last month. It didn't work out because things, kept dragging around. But we could possibly make 30 to 50K if we get this property closed and I find somebody to assign it to, or whatever you want to call it, and selling it on a wrap. But I want to keep it because that could be cash flow that we get debt pay down for when we refinance it, and I would turn it into a short-term rental. So that way it would make more money than it's making right now. That's what I would want to do, and get that extra cash flow coming into that property. That's me. But everybody's different. Everybody can't, they don't want to operate like that. Who knows? But that's where we are with that property. So like I said, a $50K down payment, 6% down. You already know, you buy a house, you got to put down 20%. That means you got to pay $160K for this house. He's letting it go for $50K down. I got to come up with $50K. So if I know somebody $50K that wants to buy a house, let me know. Well, actually tell him $80K, and then we could work from there. Tell him $90K, and then we work from there. So I'm gonna keep you updated with that property. So during that phone call, he's like, okay, put it on paper, write it up. That's the terms. I'm good. You're good. Let's do that. I bet. So now we, this is step number, whatever number comes after getting the property terms agreed on. Oh yeah, just one more thing about that property. I was wrong about the bedroom needing windows. So that's not something that's required here, which I thought it was. When I looked online, that's what it says, but I guess it says living room, and they just tied that into bedroom, even though it's living room. So next thing is the Philadelphia house. We went to Philadelphia yesterday. We had to drive around on Sunday to get a bunch of flooring for the house, whether it be the tiles or the Hawaiian King Koa. I think I'm calling my dick that. What do you think about that?
Dude.
That's gonna be our inside joke. Y'all don't know what it means. I'm gonna give her that Hawaiian King Koa. So now if I say it, the people gonna know what I'm talking about when I say it.
Yeah, it's not an inside joke.
I'm gonna be in a car like, hey babe, you want the Hawaiian King Koa?
Oh my gosh.
Maybe I'll cut it out and still say it to them. So here's the update on the house. We went out there. We had to go to 3 Home Depots in one day. We went to 2, and the last one closed at 8, and I put in the wrong address, so we were like 10 minutes late and it was closed. So we ended up having to go the next day to pick up that flooring. What the fuck is that? So we got a U-Haul, which I did not want to do, bro. It's so much nonsense. Like I said, bro. So okay, here's what happened with the U-Haul. Normally, and anybody that's not under the Bamboo Project umbrella or working for the Bamboo Project, you would order a U-Haul online and you go pick it up. Well, if you have a company called the Bamboo Project, that does not happen. So we ordered a U-Haul, right? I wanted a cargo van because they said our van would not be strong enough to carry all the flooring that we had. Something to keep in mind for you guys. So I wanted to get a cargo van to drive out to Philly. We go take an Uber to pick up the U-Haul. We get there. It's a authorized dealer, not an actual U-Haul. So it's a gas station. I'm like, whatever, that's fine. We go inside. The guy says, oh, wait, y'all have a reservation? We don't have no trucks. I'm like, bro, what do you mean you don't have no trucks? He was like, well, there's an actual retailer up the block. And you can go to them. They probably will have it. I'm like, whatever, bro. So we get on the phone. The guy tells me, okay, I got you. They have one over there. You can go pick it up. So we walk about 15 minutes to go to this other place to get the truck, right? We get there. They're like, oh, yeah. But they never transferred it. I'm like, can y'all call them, have them transfer? He's like, yeah, sure. The guy transfers it. They go, we don't have that. I'm like, bro, I see 25 trucks in the parking lot. What you mean you don't have that? He's like, yeah, they're all reserved. I'm like, bro, every truck is reserved. All of them. He's like, yeah, bro, I can't give you none of those. I'm like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, what happens now? He's like, yeah, bro, if you wanted a truck that wasn't going to Philly and staying there, we may have a truck for you. But the truck that you had at the other place, we don't have. So I'm like, okay, where do we get a truck from? How do I get a truck? He was like, well, there's a place that's like 30 minutes away?
Yeah, probably.
30 minutes away. by car that they have a truck there on the other side of the freaking Queens. So we're like, okay, take an Uber all the way over there to get the truck. Finally get a truck. Mind you, I wanted a cargo van, right? They said we can't get a cargo van. We gotta get a 10-foot truck. I'm like, fine, bet. We get to this other place. They're like, we don't have 10 feet trucks. I'm like, bro, are you kidding me? I'm like, what do you have? Well, we have 15-foot trucks. I'm like, bro, when I first started this out, I'm like, I want to get the smallest, most compact truck as possible. I don't like driving these big ass doofy trucks. I just want a small regular car or whatever they call it, a little cargo van. We end up with a 15-foot truck. I'm like, fine. I don't care. Just get fine. We're here now. We still got to go to Philadelphia. We'll figure it out then. So we drive out there. I drive the truck. Melissa gets the Equinox. So we both drive out there. We drop off all the stuff at the warehouse. About 2-hour drive to get there at my contractor's warehouse. We have a vlog, which did not close out, by the way. We still haven't closed it out. So, I mean, Bamboo Project, that's what we do. I'll just write on there.
The end.
Right, exactly. Right. And then, so there's that. So that's how we got out there. We also had a couple of showings that we went to just to kind of see what the properties may look like. I want to go to some more, which I'll probably schedule for the week after when we get down there. Also, we got to the property. There's drywall up in the entire property. I will put video in here. There's drywall up in the house. Okay, we are almost there. We are still struggling along to get there, but we making it. So we got some new security doors put on, some security windows put on. Somebody came out to measure for the kitchen to be installed, so that's good. A couple of interesting things came up. The window is doing something that's not supposed to be doing. It's called a return. I think that's what the guy called it on the phone. That means it's like a little ledge. I'll show a picture of that too here. You can see that. Shouldn't be there. And when my contractor came, he was like, I don't know why that's there. And I'm like, that's a red flag. Like, you're the GC. Well, you mean you don't know why that's there? That shouldn't happen. But he said that by the end of March, we should be 90% done. Right? That's what he's saying. So that's where we at now. Next couple of steps is some exterior work. Flooring, bathrooms, kitchen cabinets, appliances, and some masonry work in the back, and we should be good to go. So we getting there. According to the shows we went to, I still am very confident that we can get a $300,000 appraisal with an 80% cash out refinance, which is what I would look very hard for to find, and I found someone that does it, which is great. So I also found out today that this is for all my real estate people out there. I also found out that the amount we've been paying on the loan every month that we took out to buy the house, it's amortized. It's not interest only. So that means that the whole amount of the loan is being decreased, like the principal of the loan. So I thought we had to pay back $167. We actually right now only have to pay back $141. So that means we can make an extra, in that case, $26,000. So let me see how that would work. So if we do 300K times 80% is 240, right? So minus the 141 right now for the loan, that's 99. Minus the 2750 for Tori, minus another 2750 for my mom and nephew. Okay. We have $44,000 left over.
That's with what? That's with the 80% refinance?
Mm-hmm.
Since when? Oh, because we paid down on the... And if we ever sell it, there's still equity in the house? It's looking like a great deal.
So, yeah, so that's where we at now. That's the move. I said, I do not want to sell this house. Like, I don't want to sell it. I want to keep it. And things change every week. Like, we might have to sell it, might keep it, might have to sell it, might keep it. But I want to keep it. That's the goal. And if we refinance it, we don't have to buy appliances. So we can save money on buying a dishwasher right now and not having to buy those other appliances. Now, honestly, I might...
You could still, if we sell it, you could just say that...
If we sell it, why we sell it?
Oh, because what's the option that you're waiting on then? refinance or what?
Nothing. I'll say we don't have to buy the appliances.
Oh, I remember why. I thought you were saying something else.
Yeah, so I'm like, because we could honestly, for the appraisal, if that matters, we could just have somebody deliver stuff and then return it.
Some people also give people like a voucher or a credit.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
that
true
they
too.
can choose their own appliance.
That is very true. So we could do that too. Tell appraiser, listen, we give them a voucher for this, that, and the third. So that's kind of where we are with that. So episode playback. One thing I wanted to say about episode playback. Last week we talked about Melissa was angry one day.
I wasn't angry.
Okay, what would you call it? Stressed?
Maybe.
Melissa was stressed one day. Now, the reason why I was in the wrong is because I had told myself, I wrote on my to-do list to do the laundry for that day. And even though it's Melissa's thing that she does the laundry, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it today. I threw a bunch of stuff in there and I ended up not doing it. Now, here's the bad part on my behalf. I told myself I was going to do it. Melissa came home and started doing it. I'm like, all right, well, she wants to do it. I'm going to let her do it. If I had done that laundry, we probably would have avoided the problem that we had that day. So I take responsibility and full responsibility for not doing the laundry. That is on me. That's what I'm going to, I guess, wrap it up on, leave that there. So, okay, I will end it on this quote from One Piece. Okay. If y'all watch anime, shout out to y'all. Y'all know One Piece. Currently, you are given enough to keep from dying, and you call that living. End quote. I'm gonna let y'all sit with that. We will be back here next Tuesday. You can find all the behind the scenes content on our social medias. Mine is DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and my phenomenal, beautiful, amazing girlfriend, Melissa Burnett, ANETABURN. You know what it is. Hashtag Bamboo Project 2022 is going to be a movie. And with that being said, Bamboo Project out.